gave up on the Romans with some of the issues related to, well, just related to things. I started to tell you a little bit about the Quran, but I'm going to hold on that for just a minute, and then I'm going to pass it around so you can see it, touch it, feel it, whatever you want to do. I want to first introduce some of my co-presenters and people who will be part of the discussion that I'm trying. This is so technologically cool that we're going to have this. You're speaking to people from all around the world, and I think that's really special. Okay, Zainab, you're up.
Hi, everyone. So we have a hybrid program today.
Okay, wait a minute. These people are my age. You have to speak way more slowly for them to understand. And my people in Turkey need you to speak way more slowly, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. We are doing a hybrid program today where people near Cary, you guys are in person, and the people here at Zoom, we are from different parts of the world, different parts of the United States, and we are live streaming this beautiful conversation today, this interfaith dialogue on NOOREVER. So we are very, very happy to be here since we have so little days until Ramadan, and we are all very excited. And we are very excited to share our excitement and joy with everyone here.
Thank you. Thank you for accommodating me on the speak slowly and carry a big stick. Zainab is soon to be 18 years old, a freshman in community college in Rochester, New York, right? And she and I and her family had this fantastic discussion last night. It was really fun. So the deal was, once upon a time, like a week or so ago, Zainab made a comment about her mother being very specific about how the tea is made. And so I have brought for you today Turkish tea that I will share, and baklava, homemade baklava. Okay? And please don't spill this on the floor because I don't want to have to clean it up later. But I'll pass this around and you can smell it, because this will be, but don't sniff it, you know. Let's keep it hygienic. But don't worry, we're going to wash the tea in a few minutes. You've had it, all right. You want to take that and sniff it and pass it around? Because it's really kind of, Turkish tea is unique. And by the way, most of the people that we're talking about is from Turkey. Now, Zainab, you said NOOREVER? Is that what you said? That's the group.
NOOREVER.
NOOREVER. This group, there's several groups, but this group is leadership of young people. And they are this really cool group of people that come together to do really interesting things. I mean, they talk about topics. They do podcasts. They get together on Zoom and connect worldwide. And they're all 18, 19, 20 somethings, most of them. And then they let a few old people like me in, which is pretty amazing. So I applaud them. Marjan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Marjan. I'm from New Jersey. I've lived in NJ for around 13 years. I'm 19 and I'm a freshman at Rutgers University. So I've met Carrie in our work together at Advocates of Silence Turkey, AST. So we go a bit back from there. We've had some wonderful experiences, funny and wonderful experiences together. So I'm also part of NOOREVER. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here with you all. I wish we were there face to face with you all. Unfortunately, we're not. But even this is amazing. Being able to do this is amazing. But hopefully it'll just be a door, to maybe do a live program together one day.
Yeah, so I'm passing around the tea for you to have a chance to kind of just get the sense and the smell. I have with me official Turkish teacups. Oh, you can't see them all the way because my things over here. And they have a blue eye on them. And the blue eye is kind of to keep, it's kind of supposed to protect you. It's like a saint medal, like we have our St. Christopher medals and so on. So that's kind of what the blue eye is about. But this is a classic Turkish teacup. We will be having tea in just regular old cups because I don't have enough Turkish teacups for him. I'm sorry. But I wanted you to see this. And I want you to understand something that's really important. when Esther came in, when Maria came in, everybody came in, and Barb was given the introduction, I have been affiliated in some way with this community here in Atchison for over 40 years, which makes you guys really old. I'm still young. But you know, and Zainab and Mirjan and so on, these people, I met them when I was in high school. I went to boarding school here at Mount St. Scholastica. So that's a minute ago. So it's well over 40 years. So there's a Turkish proverb that says, once we share this cup together of tea or of coffee, once we share this cup together, we are united for 40 years. Okay? And again, this group is highly educated in scripture, so you understand 40 years means a lifetime. And for me, it's been almost my whole lifetime being affiliated with the Benedictines and having such great respect and admiration for each of you. So as we share this cup today, we now are uniting ourselves with this other group because they're going to share tea with us too. Okay? So the cup is really an important symbol of connection. It's how we connect to each other. We sit at the table, we share some tea and coffee. And I was sharing with Terry on the way up about how, you know, after Christmas Mass or after Easter Mass, we get together here in this very dining room, and the sisters make those really nice sticky buns and serve hot chocolate, you know, and that's a tradition. That's something that we look forward to. Again, that cup unites us, that sense of hospitality, and that's very classic Benedictine tradition, that sense of hospitality. So this cup is very important. So I am going to pass around the Quran for you to check out. You're welcome. I've got some, I don't know what's in there, but just, you know, help yourself. But you can see it's kind of similar to our study Bible. And what I have found very interesting in working with this group is that the Islamic faith and our Christian faith differs very little, especially amongst the Hizmet people. The Hizmet people, there was an imam, or there is an imam, he's still around. There is an imam, Fethullah Gulen, and he lives in Pennsylvania now. He's from Turkey. He was ordained in like 1958, and they don't actually call it ordaining, but that's kind of what we call it. And he, in my opinion, most closely resembles Dorothy Day and the Catholic workers. He believed and he preached. Of course, one of the differences is he teaches from male dominance. So he teaches from a slightly different position, but his philosophy is so connected up with exactly what Dorothy Day would say. And as some of you probably remember or know, I'm a Catholic worker. I lived at the worker house. And so that's an important part of my cultural heritage. So the ways in which he is very similar is the word hizmet in Turkish means service. And he believes that through service, through committing ourselves to service, we can make the world a better place. And isn't that true? I mean, isn't that true in so many ways, right? He taught that, and people rallied around him, and people said, hey, yeah, this guy's got something. He really knows what he's talking about, you know? And so there's this whole group of people called Hizmet. They don't call themselves Hizmet. They just call themselves people, but they subscribe to this theory of Hizmet that means service. And he specifically also means service through one of the ways to change the world and to improve the world is through education. And they open schools, they open Hizmet schools in over 70 countries. And I've met a number of people who they graduated from college and they moved to Cambodia to teach in what they call an international school. Or they graduated from college and they moved to Myanmar or South Africa or Nigeria Egypt. And these people all live in Kansas City, by the way, and they go all over the world. And like, wow, really? You go there, and yeah, they go there in service to teach. So in that sense, they are like missionaries, but they're not like missionaries in that they're not proselytizing. They don't go there to convert people to Islam. They go there to make the world a better place through education and to raise people up out of poverty through education, not through kind of a religious, it's not they're trying to bring their religion there. What they're trying to do is use their faith as the basis for raising people up. So you can see there's a lot of parallels in the Benedictine life, right? Anyway, so that's a little bit of an introduction. Okay, who has some comments about what I just said? Who wants to correct the record? Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Dilara. I live in Rhode Island. I came here 5 years ago and I go to Providence College, which is a Catholic college. So I literally just like a couple of weeks ago learned about the things that you're just talking about right now. So, and when I was reading the rules of Saint Benedict, I was really like understanding how similar it was to our lifestyle. And it was just really fascinating to me. And I really liked that you touched upon that as well.
Oh, excellent. Yes. One of the quotes or one of the premise of Benedictine rule is listen with the ear of your heart. Attend with the ear of your heart, right? And so it is in listening that we come to understand each other much better and get to know one another. So I teach this class on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 7. Y'all are welcome to dial in if you're not busy. And Nail, what do we do in class? It's English language learner. Nail.
Hello, everyone. How are you? First of all, I want to thank you, Ms. Kari, inviting me in that group. I appreciate. And we are doing some English lessons, and we are talking about the bridge and equity, diversity, and connection people all together, and respect each other, love each other, and empathy each other. No difference, religion, region, and the other parts. We respect each other, and like that.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, wait. Okay, so what he just mentioned was the bridge. And this is the bridge. The bridge is this book that our English class has been writing. And Terry Hanley's like, if I have to hear about the bridge one more time, I may vomit. But so like, here's a little copy of it, a shorter version of it. But the bridge is this group that I have called Quill and Pluma, and in Turkish that's Kuş Tüyü Kalem. Kuş Tüyü Kalem, right? And it means quill, or it means feather pen, right? And so it's a writers collaborative that Nail was just describing. And we talk about this bridge. And so I'm just going to open it up. Everybody can comment. Tell me what you think a bridge is or a bridge does. Connects? Right. It's a structure that connects. It's a structure that connects. You guys want to comment?
I think it is a very powerful structure. It can be a bridge between basically anything. It can be between two people, two hearts, two communities, two cities, two countries, even more philosophically, two ideologies. So it is a very broad concept that I'm very wondering how Carrie will explain it.
She's curious. Okay, so the really funny thing about Marjan, not Zainab, Marjan and I were co-MCs at an event in New Jersey. It was a big event, it was a big fundraiser, like kind of like your Night of Dreams, you know, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I got it. And they were like, well, at 5:07, we're going to say this. And at 5:09 and 30 seconds, we need to do this. And I was like, are you serious right now? And I was like, yeah, we'll get to it. Don't worry. And Marjan had a spreadsheet. And it was her job to keep me on track. And so everybody remembers the Myers-Briggs, right? Difference in, so high NP, right? High extrovert, high NP, and very high SJ. That's Marjan. And so anyway, so, you know, we're talking about how we're going to talk about what's happening in Turkey and talk about this bridge. Well, I'm just going to tell you, there's a genocide occurring in Turkey right now at this time with the Hizmet people. And we brought the exhibit to Kansas City that was in New Jersey, and we had over 40 artifacts. And people sent in things like their jacket or a pair of shoes or a clock, things that their family members had left behind when they died as a result of the genocide. And I was standing next to this, it was a frame and it had a jean jacket in it. And I was kind of looking at it, you know, just kind of looking at it, you know. And this woman came up to me who spoke English in a very difficult way. You know, she was having trouble, but she wanted to, it was really important for her to tell me that belonged to my brother. And, you know, many people have died. Also, many people who participate in my English class have previously been in prison or have arrest warrants for them or have escaped the persecution by swimming across the river or, you know, going in a boat across the Aegean Sea or the Merich River. It's very difficult. And most all of the people that are doing that are young families, and they're teachers who have lost their jobs, they're educators. Over 1,200 educators lost their jobs all in one day at universities because they signed a petition for peace, academics for peace. So, you know, it's pretty serious what's happening. So really what we're trying to get to is how can Ramadan have any impact on us, right? And Ramadan, just like Lent, is raising our awareness of the presence of God among us. Really? That's, you know, when we say, what did you give up for Lent? We say that a lot, right? It's kind of common. Oh, what did you give up for Lent? Chocolate, you know, whatever. But really, when we say that, what we're really saying is, what did you get rid of so that you could make space for the Holy Spirit to move your heart, you know, to come inside and make a difference in your life? What have you made space for? And making space for the people who are refugees and asylees is, in my opinion, an important thing. That's welcoming the stranger. And in this country, we've had a little bit of challenge in welcoming the stranger. We fear the stranger, and we've been propagandized into believing that the stranger is scary. It's something that we need to fear. So, to that end, the Dialogue Institute and other groups have what they call bridging dinners. And bridging dinners are a lot of fun. You should all try to score an invite to a bridging dinner. Because what happens is you get invited to someone's house, and here's a pro tip. Be sure to wear slip-on shoes. Be sure to wear your Crocs, because when you enter a Muslim house, you take off your shoes at the door. And oftentimes when you go in, you're like, seriously, could they not make this more organized? There's shoes everywhere. But you walk in and you take off your shoes because you're walking in holy space. You're walking in their home. And then they serve you a halal meal, simple meal, and it is a lot of fun. There's kids running all around usually. The table's really crowded, you know, because they squeeze in a bunch of people and they put out their finest, of course, and you talk and you get to know these people. And again, once you sit across the table and you meet someone, you no longer call them stranger. You call them friend. So if they called you up and said, hey, I have a flat tire on 92 highway or on 45 highway, can you help me? you'd say, of course, let me help. Let me see what I can do to help, or whatever it is. They're not your stranger. They're not something to be feared anymore. They're somebody you know. And it's important to come to know the stranger. It's that point. All right, any comments from my group here, please? I don't want to do all the talking.
Carrie, you mentioned beautifully about the bridging dinners, and one cool thing about it is that it builds a lifelong connection. So right now, I know that if I ever go to Kansas City, I know that I have Carrie there to help me out with anything. So the bridging dinners, the interfaith dialogues, especially these are going to increase in Ramadan, because as Muslims, we believe that, almost every day we should be inviting people to our tables for iftars, which is when we break our fast at sunset. So both in sunrise, before the sunrise, and after the sunset for our two big meals of the day, we try to invite people to establish friendships, establish a connection, bond over delicious food, and of course, great talking. So that will be totally going to increase in Ramadan, and we are already excited for it.
Something else I can add is that on this topic, if you were to ask any Turkish lady today about what their plan is for Ramadan, you'll be sure that they probably have a spreadsheet of who they're going to be inviting over the 30 days. Now, I'm trying to I have like a mentoring group, and I'm trying to like get dates for like an iftar for them. Iftar is our dinner when we break fast throughout the 30 days. And I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to be able to book a iftar with any of our mentors or older members in the community, because everyone's already booked something for the entire month. So yeah, definitely it's a very big part. I feel like food in general is a very big part of connecting people together, from the prophets or Prophet Muhammad, that was just reading about how to invite people to faith, he would invite them to dinners. And the same way with my students too, or with other people, or with these bridging dinners, food is kind of our thing to join together communities. So in Ramadan, I'm very excited for all the iftars we're gonna have. I'm sure there in Kansas City, you all probably have something planned too, Carrie.
Oh yes, we plan our whole month around that because the food is really good. And different each time is different, each place. Okay, let's hear from somebody else. Zainab Nazli. Are you there, Zainab? Yeah, how about what do you have to say?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I didn't hear you.
Okay, we're just wondering what you think about Ramadan. It's okay, you don't have to share if you don't want to.
Carrie, I want to share one cool thing when we're talking about guests. So here's another perspective to think about Ramadan for us Muslims. We think about having guests over Ramadan, but actually we're also inviting Ramadan to our households. So in this holy month, we believe that, our houses must be clean as always, food must be, extra delicately made, and our guests must be, we have to have more guests. So we're actually inviting Ramadan to our household. So we have to think about having like a friend staying over for 30 days. How are we going to make Ramadan happy? Because Ramadan makes us happy for 30 days. It nourishes our soul and our body as well. And how are we going to make Ramadan happy with all of our, actions, how are we feeling with our soul through all the prayings, reading the Quran and going to the nightly prayers. So it is both ways. We are inviting Ramadan and Ramadan invites us. So it is an exchange actually.
Oh, thank you. That's a pretty good explanation. So back to our bridge and our cup. So the metaphor for the bridge, which, keep talking there for a minute. I'm going to pull up a picture.
Yeah, so I don't know how much you all know about Ramadan, but it's tiring too, I'm not gonna lie, because we do fast, we don't eat food, we don't drink anything from sunrise to sunset basically. But that moment when you break, when it's time to break fast, I'm sure most of you experienced that. It's so nice because you finally you feel the appreciation for that food. That one cup of water, which we could take for granted most of the time, it's like the world's most valuable thing when it's time to break your fast. And that's where I truly understand the spirit of Ramadan. I have access to water every single day, but no water tastes as sweet as the water I drink when I'm breaking my fast, or no food or no dinner table tastes as amazing and as like exquisite as when I'm breaking my fast. So definitely I think that's something that captures a wonderful part of Ramadan for us.
Okay, so you just hit on a really important topic. Their fast is different than our Lenten fast. Okay, they don't take anything by mouth from sun up to sundown. So they don't drink and they don't eat for 12 hours approximately, or however long it is. And so that breaking of the fast, and they actually have an app on their phone that tells them at 8:17, I can take that drink of water or whatever it is, They don't have daylight saving time in Turkey. Right.
And one thing is that, so it is also very culturally, Ramadan is also very like culturally impacted. So there are lots of very cool cultural things. For example, in Turkey, back in the days, I think it still happens, but back in the days, there would be someone with like a drum, like a huge drum, who would wake people up to eat before sunrise. So that would be, my parents would tell it, my grandparents would tell it. Right now, we set alarms. I wish I can make that sound my alarm, but it would be, somebody with a big drum going around singing, cool poetry, cool poems, nice things, nice sayings, and yell so that everybody on that street wakes up and eats their food before sunrise. And Marjan is very right on the fact that the food we eat when we break our fast is so valuable, because one, after the entire day of fasting, it is very, very rewarding. And number two, we also see and actually understand how people who do not have as much privilege as we do feel when they don't have enough food. So all throughout the day, one, of course, we connect with God, and number two, we connect with people who are not privileged enough to eat. Not privileged enough to eat enough food, and who do not have the conditions that we have. So it is both way of like understanding other people around the world, and towards the end and during Ramadan, especially towards the end as well, we give charity. So that is, after empathizing with all these people, we try to give as much charity as possible. So that is another side of Ramadan.
Excellent. Hey, Polat, can you allow sharing, please? Allow the host to share, or co-host. Okay, so people in this room should recognize this place. Does anybody recognize this? Anybody recognize that? Have you been to Kansas City lately? Okay. That's the Bond Bridge, formerly known as the Paseo Bridge. It's a suspension bridge, okay? And then anybody recognize this bridge? Where's this bridge? Somebody from Turkey should know the answer to that question.
Istanbul.
It's in Istanbul, exactly.
Mhm.
And it's a suspension bridge. So we have these bridges that are connecting, and then for our metaphor in our writing group, this is our bridge. And the name of the bridge is Dei. Anybody in this room know what the word Dei means? Trick question, I know. I know you know. Anybody in this room want to tell them what Dei means? It's Latin for God, exactly. They passed the test. That was a pop quiz. See if they were listening. Well, in true metaphor sense, I have determined that Dei stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that God, who made all of us in the same uniform image or the same united image, is the quintessential expression of perfect diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? We aren't all made to look exactly the same, but we're all made in the same image. That's really kind of confusing scripture, right? But we all share that same origin. And so it's male and female, it's all ethnicity, it's all cultures, it's all life comes from Dei. And so the expectation of Dei, in order that diversity and equity and inclusion can be lived out, is to connect, is to cross the bridge. And so just briefly, in our metaphor in the book that we're writing in the class, that we all live in a place called my comfort zone. And so Mount St. Scholastica is a little town called my comfort zone, right? You're comfortable here, you have everything you need, it's all good, right? But as I crawl up the Tower of Tolerance and look out across the river, and we do have the mighty river just right here, right? As I look out across that mighty river on the other side, I can see the valley of acceptance, because tolerance is not the same as acceptance, right? I can see the valley of acceptance, but how do I get there? Well, it's right next to the Dairy Queen on the other side of the bridge. They moved the Dairy Queen. How could they do that? Anyway, no. So the valley of acceptance is on the other side of this river. And what is the name of the river? Oh, here's a pop quiz question. What is the name of this river that we've got to cross? Wrong. Ding. Uh-oh. They're only 50% now, gang. Anybody? Ali, what's the name of the river? He's in there. I saw him. Ali. He's not talking. The name of the river is misinformation. Oh, yeah. Right? Okay. The river that we've got to cross to get from the Tower of Tolerance to the Valley of Acceptance is named misinformation. And then when we get to this fantastic town, now there will be people in this room who know the answer to this question. What does it mean? Todos son bienvenidos. It's not Latin. All are welcome. Todos son bienvenidos, right? So the town on the other side that we can see is called Todos son bienvenidos, where all are welcome. And that's the sense of hospitality, right? So in Todos son bienvenidos, there are 4 main streets. Anybody want to guess what one of the name of the streets is? Terry Hanley, you can give him the first one. She knows she's not going to talk. Anybody have any guesses as to what the 4 streets are? I'll give you a hint on your quiz. What are the 4 themes of Advent? Hope Avenue, Peace Parkway, Love Boulevard, and Joy Lane. Okay. All right. Now, I think I got a picture of that. Yep, there it is. Let me see if I can make it bigger. Okay, can you see that? Okay, so the interesting thing about this fabulous little town is there are no corners in the town. Corners have all been rounded off. The sharp edges have all been cut off. Okay, and to get to the Valley of Acceptance, you got to park your car somewhere around Love Boulevard and Joy Lane. Okay, which means you've got to come down Hope Avenue, pass by Peace Parkway, find a parking spot somewhere around Joy Lane or Love Boulevard, and then you've got to take a hike. And you've got to take a hike down in Shoe Path Park. Okay, anybody got any ideas about what the next metaphor is? Any guesses? Shoe Path Park. And you got to walk on a trail. Less than a kilometer. Come on, Grace, you know this one. It's the walk a mile trail. You've got to develop that sense of empathy. You've got to come around and walk down the walk a mile trail on Shoe Path Park and put yourself in the position of somebody else and figure out what it's like to be them. Okay? And when you get on walk a mile trail, the first thing you come to is a why in the road. Why am I doing this? And you can try very hard to take a shortcut through the fear forest. But if you do that, you'll never get to the Valley of Acceptance. So you've got to continue on the main path. And when you go a little bit further, you get to a place called Grief Gulch. And we all have some things to grieve about, right? We've all had experienced loss and so on and so forth. So in Grief Gulch, it's overgrown with brambles. Now, I know there's some great gardeners in here. What is the cool thing about a bramble, besides the fact that it's going to poke you and make you bleed? They bear fruit. Brambles bear fruit. It's blackberries, blueberries. All right. So you got to climb through the brambles to get through Grief Gulch. And the only way out is either to claw your way through on your own, the hard way, or rely on somebody else to help you. And so somebody else has got to extend their hand and help you get up, give you a lift up, give you a boost out of grief. And so when we're in grief, we have to reach out. We have to ask for help, right? So then you go on a little bit further on the trail. After you get out of Grief Gulch, you're thinking, oh, I'm pretty cool now, right? Okay. And you come to a resting place. And that resting place, there's this big old tree there. It's really big. Beautiful tree, except it's overgrown with thorny vines. But you notice right next to it is a weeping willow, right? And the weeping willow is right next to the big oak tree. And the big oak tree draws its water from the river. What's the name of the river? Misinformation. And that is the source of bigotry and hate. The big oak tree represents bigotry, and the weeping willow can't get away from it. That's why it weeps, because it can't get away from bigotry. The only way we can fix this big oak tree is to have the people who come along the path bring their pruning shears and their gloves and remove the thorny vine. Once they do that, once they remove these thorny vines, then what happens is, what's revealed is it's the tree of life. We each have to remove the thorny vines from ourselves, and we have to have help sometimes to do it. And we have to have a kick in the pants sometimes to do it, you know? So that's part of the story. So then after we get finished pruning the tree, then we go on down the path a little ways later and we come to the entrance to the fear forest. You know, at the Y in the road was the back way, right? But we come to the entrance of the fear forest and we have to face those fears before we can go on. We have to face it. What are we afraid of when we have misinformation and when we don't know somebody that we haven't had a chance to meet yet? What are we afraid of? Once we get past that, then we come to the Valley of Acceptance. And right as we get there, there's a gate and there's a big old stop sign. And you get to and you're like, hey, I made it this far. How come I can't get in? The stop sign has instructions. And that stop sign says, remove your shoes because you're coming in on holy ground. You're about to walk on holy ground. And when you walk in, you take your shoes off and you walk into the Valley of Acceptance, the path is lighted. And so the path is a lamp to your feet. You should all recognize that reference, right? Okay. All right. So that's just kind of the story of the bridge and the cup. No, wait, we haven't gotten to the cup yet. So where does the cup come in? Once you get to the Valley of Acceptance, you come to this cafe, and the cafe is called the Coffee Table Cafe. And there's a big welcome sign on it, and you go in, and all are truly welcome. And we all sit at the table, and everybody's voice is equal. So everybody has a chance to say what they want to say. Everybody, you know, has a chance to be heard. and everybody is empowered to do whatever it is they need at the table. And we join each other for this cup of coffee or this cup of tea, and we're then united for a lifetime through that process. And so that's what Ramadan is for me. That's what Ramadan has been for me. I'm a Christian person. I knew nothing about, I had never had a chance to sit down at a table with someone who was Islam, who was a Muslim. And I got invited to their house, and I sat down with them, and I had dinner, and it was fun, and the food was good, and I learned about them. And then I started helping out with some different things, and I got on this board and all that stuff. But it's the sitting down and talking that is Ramadan for me. And that is also, in Lent, I have to make space for new people to come into my life and to give me new ideas and to give me new energy and to give me, you know, just a broader understanding of the world. And so that's what you're invited to do today, is get to know these folks. You can welcome, anybody have any questions for this group? Let me put them back on the screen. Anybody have any questions or comments? Zainab, what do you have to say, my friend? I think she doesn't have anything to say. Are we frozen?
No, you're still
Oh,
here.
there we go. Okay.
Are we asking questions or?
You can ask questions, or do you have any questions for this young group? Yes, ma'am, Rita. Halal, halal food. Okay. You want to take that, Marjan, or do you want me to explain halal?
I mean, you could I want to hear you.
She'd
I
like to
could
know
just
what I
add
have to
on.
say about halal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quiz
Halal.
time.
Okay, so a lot of times people will say, oh, halal is just the same as kosher. Not the same at all. Well, it kind of is, but not really. Halal is the way the animal is sacrificed for your meal. It's a holy way of sacrificing the animal. The animal doesn't ever see the knife come into its throat, kind of thing, because it's respect for all of creation. And yes, the animal is going to die so that you can eat, but we're going to pray for that animal, and we're going to make sure that that animal is treated humanely. So that's halal food. It usually has to do with meat. I will tell you, based on my experience, Marjan, if you call the Arabic market down at the river market and say, hey, do you have halal cheese? The man will laugh at you because they don't kill the animal to get the cheese, right? So all cheese is halal. I don't know that that's true, but that's what they say. What do you say?
Yeah, it differs from, there's different sects in Islam, just as there is in Christianity, and it differs the preferences, for some certain sects, it's, cheese, it depends which one is halal and which one is not. But typically the very basis for everything is that, yes, the way an animal is slaughtered, we don't eat pork at all. That's absolutely a no-no. And that there is no alcohol in any of our food. So it's pretty much, that animal is slaughtered the right way, the proper way, which is by making sure it doesn't experience any pain. And there's a specific slaughter method to ensure that too. Like it not seeing the knife, or, having a very specific way so it doesn't feel anything. That's one thing. And also, sacrificing it with the name of Allah as it happens, as well as no pork or no alcohol. And that's pretty much what halal is.
So the one trick for us is if we ever make cookies or something to take to one of these houses, you can't put vanilla in, because vanilla is extracted by alcohol. And then they just say, bring something vegetarian. It makes it easy. So, okay, any other questions? That was a good question.
I don't know how exactly to ask this, but when you have people come in, for this celebration of this Ramadan, do you also talk about painful things or joyful things, or a combination of both?
Oh, I can answer that question. They invite you in for the iftar, and like for example, we're having one at the cathedral, the Holy Grace and Holy Trinity. It's just the meal, and you talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's not like like you go to a Seder meal and they tell the story. No, it's not like that at all. Usually, we do give a presentation on what's happening with the genocide, but that's just kind of to inform. When you go to people's homes, oh heck no, it's just really fun. You go in and you play with the kids, and you sit at a crowded table, and there's people. It's chaos. It's just like that. It's fun. There's no set agenda, if you will. All right. Any other questions? Well, hey, thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. I think we can probably stop the live feed now, and we're going to have tea and baklava, and I hope you have some too.
Thank you so much. Definitely the last days before Ramadan, we're going to be having our tea and our baklavas during the daytime. So enjoying those. Thank you guys thank you all so much for having us. We're very excited to be here. It's very nice seeing you all, even though it's through like a very pixelated screen. Thank you so much for having us. I hope you guys enjoy the tea and the baklava. And hopefully this Ramadan will be a form of Ramadan for you all too, by joining iftars, by being there with us. We're very excited to share this experience with you all. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I know that you are expert at serving hot chocolate and coffee, but who would like to be trained in the